Ever wish you could just hit, like, the easy button when it came to cloud computing, you know?
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive, uh, it might just be that button,
Okay.
especially if, terms like control freak and performance junkie, those make you raise an eyebrow.
Right.
We're talking sole tenancy on Google Cloud today.
Right.
It's a feature that I'll admit sounds a little niche, but trust me, it gets surprisingly relevant, like really quickly.
What I think is so fascinating about sole tenancy is that it speaks to this, like, very human desire, right?
Yeah.
To just have your own space. Think about it. You might choose a whole apartment over, like, a shared living situation.
Right, right.
Some workloads in the cloud, they crave that same, like, isolation and dedicated resources.
Yeah. And speaking of craving space, we are not messing around with this deep dive. We are going straight to the source. Google Cloud's own documentation, their sole tenancy overview page.
Nice.
No need for multiple tabs today.
It's like a gold mine of info on there.
It really is.
And our mission, I guess, should we choose to accept it, is to, like, distill it all down.
Yeah.
Think of it as like the, executive summary version of this.
Okay.
Highlighting not just what sole tenancy is, but, like, why you should care,
Exactly. And just to, like, set the stage here, imagine this. You're running a business-critical application where every millisecond counts.
Mhm.
Would you rather be at the mercy of, unpredictable neighbors in a shared cloud environment,
Okay.
or have an entire server rack just for you with a big neon sign on it that says reserved? I mean, that's the core idea behind sole tenancy right there.
And you know what's interesting? The document even emphasizes that this is, like, way more than just peace of mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're talking predictable performance.
Yeah.
We're talking about enhanced security and, like, the holy grail for a lot of businesses. Easier compliance, especially in those highly regulated industries. That's huge.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm not going to lie. That reserved sign analogy really got me.
Yeah.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's, define what we even mean by this this sole tenant node, because that's the heart of all of it.
Sure, yeah.
So help me out here.
Absolutely, yeah. So the document defines a sole tenant node as a physical machine, a dedicated server within Google's data center. But it's reserved exclusively for your projects. So no sharing, no surprises. You know what you're getting. It's yours.
Now, I know what you might be thinking, right? Dedicated servers. Sounds expensive, sounds complicated, sounds like something only, like, Google needs.
Right.
But, the document actually uses an example that makes this surprisingly relatable. Gaming.
Yeah.
Gaming.
And this isn't just about, gamers wanting to, like, dominate the leaderboard, although I'm sure that's part of it.
Of course.
But it's about that predictable performance, right? Because they know that even tiny, tiny fluctuations can make or break their experience. And so sole tenancy, what that ensures is consistency. And that's equally crucial for businesses, right? I mean, imagine a financial transaction or healthcare application, or even just a regular website where a few seconds of lag could mean, like, lost revenue or even worse.
So if I'm understanding this right, and correct me if I'm wrong, the technology itself, yeah, sure, that might be super complex, but the benefit is actually quite simple. It's peace of mind. Knowing that your workloads have the resources they need when they need them without having to, play nice with others in the cloud.
Exactly. And the document really drives this point home, I think, by highlighting several use cases where this level of control is not just, like, beneficial, it's essential. Like, you need this. So the document, it highlights this really interesting concept called BYOL.
BYOL.
Bring your own license, right?
Okay.
Where, like, certain software licenses actually require you to know exactly what hardware you're running on.
Oh, wow.
Down to, like, the physical core.
Really?
It's kind of like, if you needed a specific type of outlet for, like, your fancy espresso machine. Right.
Shared cloud environments, they can make that really tricky.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But with sole tenancy, you're not just renting the apartment, you're getting the blueprints to the whole building.
I like that. So with sole tenancy, you're not just renting an apartment, you're getting the blueprints to the building. That makes a lot more sense, especially for industries with, those really strict compliance regulations.
Exactly, yeah. And speaking of control, the document then goes on to, like, dive into another area where sole tenancy really shines. Host maintenance.
Okay.
Because, even the most reliable servers, they need to tune up now and then.
Right, of course.
But with sole tenancy, you get to call the shots on how those updates impact your workloads.
Okay, so no more, like, we're doing server maintenance at 2 a.m. Hope that's cool with everyone. Emails. Okay. Not quite. I mean, the emails might still exist,
Right.
but with sole tenancy, you get to choose how your virtual machines are handled during that maintenance.
I see.
So the document, it lays out three main options, right?
All right.
First, you've got your default approach,
Right.
which is, pretty similar to regular cloud hosting. Your virtual machines, they might be like temporarily moved.
Okay, so like a temporary relocation while they're sprucing up the building, so to
Yeah,
speak.
exactly.
Okay, got it. So what are the other options?
So the second option, this is where things get really interesting. It's called restart in place.
Restart in place.
Yeah, and I know it sounds kind of intense, but it's actually really elegant. So basically, your virtual machines are gracefully stopped, the physical server gets its maintenance like nice and quick, and then your VMs are restarted on that same hardware.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've got an application where even a tiny interruption could spell disaster, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I bet the document calls out some specific examples where this level of control is like mission critical.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The document, it specifically highlights databases as like a prime example.
Okay.
Think about it. Databases, they're all about data integrity,
Right.
right? And even like a small hiccup during a server switch could introduce errors, and nobody wants that.
No.
Restart in place, it provides that extra layer of assurance your data stays pristine.
That makes sense. Okay, so we've got default option, we've got the restart in place option. What's behind door number 3?
All right, so the third option is called migrate within a node group.
Yep.
And this one's all about balance, right? It's for situations where, like, you need to keep your applications running nonstop.
Okay.
But you also have, like, very, very strict requirements about which servers your data can touch, maybe for, like, licensing reasons or compliance.
So it's like saying, Google, you can redecorate my apartment, but my stuff, it stays within this specific wing of the building.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
And to make this all work, Google actually reserves extra servers, kind of like dedicated moving crews, to make sure those live migrations happen without a hitch.
That's some next level planning right there. Okay, there's one more thing from the document I have to ask about because it reminds me of those sitcoms, with the wacky neighbors living next door. The document, it mentions this thing called affinity and anti-affinity.
Yes.
And it uses like an apartment building analogy to explain it. So there's like affinity, where I want to be close to my buddy, and then there's anti-affinity, which is more like, I don't care where you put me, just make sure I'm as far away from that project as possible.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. It's all about ensuring that certain workloads, they're never, ever on that same physical server. And that's huge for compliance,
Okay.
especially, when you're dealing with really sensitive data.
Oh, yeah.
You can, like, literally prove separation,
Yeah.
which auditors and regulators, they love that.
Okay, so we've covered like a ton of ground here. Dedicated servers, fine-grained control over maintenance, even choosing our virtual neighbors. Sole tenancy really does, like, it lives up to that control freak promise.
It does.
But, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The thing everyone's probably wondering right now.
I think I can guess what you're going to say.
Yeah.
What about cost?
Cost, yeah.
It's true. Historically, sole tenancy, yeah, it's been seen as this like premium feature.
Right.
But the document, it makes a point of saying that you're not being like double charged.
No.
You're paying for that dedicated hardware, but you're not paying for each individual virtual machine running on it too.
So it's like, I can rent the whole building, but I'm not also paying rent for each apartment inside.
Yeah, that's the idea. And beyond that even, Google Cloud offers like ways to make it even more cost effective.
Oh, really?
Especially, I think, for long-term use. The document mentions things like committed use discounts, which are kind of like getting a bulk rate, And then sustained use discounts that just kind of kick in automatically the more and more you use the service.
So while it might seem like this really luxurious feature, at first glance, there are definitely ways to like make it fit into a realistic budget, especially when you think about the potential savings from, things like increased performance and reduced downtime.
Exactly. And I think that's like a perfect example of why this kind of deep dive is so valuable.
Yeah.
Because you might hear a term like sole tenancy and just assume it's not relevant to you.
Yeah, you tune it out.
But once you like peel back the layers, you realize it's really about solving these very, very real problems that businesses, of all sizes, they face these problems.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't matter how big or small you are.
Totally. It's like having that, insider knowledge, that ability to, like, see beyond the buzzwords,
Yes.
understand the actual tools and strategies that can give you an edge.
Yeah, yeah. It's about making informed decisions, right?
Right.
In this, like, tech landscape that's just constantly evolving.
Yeah. Always changing, always moving. Well said. And on that note, I think we've successfully, navigated this soul tenancy deep dive.
We did it.
Hopefully our listeners are walking away feeling less like they've, just been handed a dictionary of cloud jargon and more like they've unlocked a secret level of understanding.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want.
I agree. It's been a pleasure diving into all the nitty-gritty details with you.
Likewise, always fun chatting with you.
And for our listeners, until next time, remember, whether you're a coding ninja or, just starting your cloud journey, knowledge is power. Keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and we'll see you in the cloud.